Welcome into a new episode of NASCAR Inside the Race, presented by Consumer Cellular. I'm Drew Blickensderfer, crew chief of the 10, joined by Luke Lambert, crew chief of the 77. There was a lot of talk about going into Martinsville, what we'd come out with, and I think we got it settled finally after a long night.
Yeah, big interesting race. We had new tire, a lot of things going on with all the championship battles. It was no short for surprises. Let's dig into it and see what happened.
Yeah, we were guaranteed one spot on points going into the race, and let's talk about how that spot got settled.
Bell has a 22-point advantage. We knew this was going to be a points battle. 22 points is a lot. And so to start the day out, it starts at 22 points here. Byron's going to be trying to eat into that all day long. And so he's able to get a chunk of points at stage one, finishing second, cuts that point deficit down to 13 points. The 20 car is able to collect some points, get a little bit closer, but Bell is not able to get as many points as Byron. So they cut it down to 12. Let's look at what happens in the closing laps as the stage is winding down here. You've got these guys battling for position. This ends up being a 3-point swing right here between the 5 and the 24 getting by the 20.
Yeah, the 20 car's got some track position now. It's 10 to go in the stage. I'm sure Adam Stevens and that team are thinking, okay, we can salvage some points on get back on the 24, and then the 5 and the 24 both get by him. And at this point of the race, you're still saying, okay, we still have a cushion. We got our track position now. We're on the same sequences as the 24. Let's get to the end of the stage, put tires on it, and kind of just run right around the 24 the rest of the day. We're going to cruise on to Phoenix, and everything's going to be good. But they come down pit road, and this is what happens, Luke.
Yeah, we have a big mishap right here. As the wheel comes off on the left front, the lug nut actually comes dislodged, and we see it fly out.
You'll see it right there. And we'll play this back and forth a little bit. And that lug nut is supposed to stay in the socket of the gun when the tire changer throws that tire to his right. The lug nut's in the socket of the gun, so when he goes and engages the new tire going on and wheel, it'll just run it right on up. And you can see the changer go back, and he's confused because he's like, I'm hitting it, I'm running it on, I know it's not tight. And you can see him wondering, what is going on here? This feels like something that is wrong, and he doesn't realize the lug nut has come out of his gun. And they get off, obviously they get lucky. He goes around the racetrack. The tire and the wheel stay on, but when they come back in, you'll see here, it was very obvious when we watched it, Luke, he doesn't use his gun to take this left front wheel off. So the lug nut is missing, and that's when we had to go back, find it somewhere else. He reaches for a new lug nut to put the new wheel on, and during this sequence of events, it really hurts the 20's track position. He goes from running in the top 10 to outside the top 30, which means he's going to have to make up some positions here if he wants to not have that point buffer he had cut into anymore.
And with these tires that we were running, they were very heat sensitive, so having to restart back there so far, his tires would have been hot. The leaders catch them. These guys are getting lapped. That puts them in a spot where it's going to potentially limit what they can do later on in the race.
As soon as they go a lap down, they come to pit road because pretty much they're hoping they can get back out in front of the leader, maybe salvage more time on the lead lap to get a caution, but this really put them behind for the rest of the day.
A whole other sequence of events happens right here with the caution coming out. The caution happens right before lap 400, nearly 100 laps to go, and it's pretty interesting to see what happens here. We have some of the guys had pitted earlier, so they needed tires more, but if we look at what happens right here, there's another thing going on. We have the 5 and the 24 probably have another piece of information that they're considering. So we know the 20 is still a lap down based on the cycle and hasn't been able to get back on the lead lap. These guys making the decision to stay out means that they're able to ensure that the 20 is going to remain one lap down. He traps those guys, not allowing people to take the free pass that otherwise would be able to, and the 20 car was one of those. So these guys making that decision was not just to preserve their track position, but it was also to ensure that it kept the 20 back there, and ultimately it should have given a better opportunity for the 24 to get the position based on points. We have something else that very interesting happened here on this restart. The 8 car going into turn 3 loses the right front wheel.
Yeah, you can see it rolling right there.
And so NASCAR does not recognize that this has happened in time to stop from throwing the green flag. So the green flag actually flies at this point. This becomes a really pivotal moment because the 20 car was one lap down, but also the 23 was one lap down. So that was another position on that same lap that the 20 was going to have an opportunity to race against. This triggers a free pass opportunity for the 23 car. So that puts the 20 still one lap down, not able to get the free pass, but now there's nobody on that lap that he's able to pass. And so that sets up a sequence where there's not really any opportunity for the 20 to gain positions. Really, the only hope the 20 has at this point is that the 24 doesn't stay towards the front.
So let's go into the last lap where we had some chaos go on, and Christopher Bell here is the first car one lap down. Can't gain any more spots until other cars get lapped in front of him. That happens about 5 laps before this, where the 23 gets lapped. So Christopher Bell can gain one spot, and that's the spot he needs to tie the 24 car, and he gets the playoff bid based off the tiebreaker.
Yeah, so he's going to do anything he can to try to get this one spot. The 23's up there, struggling. The 20 dives into the corner here and just is in too hot, hits the fence, and then makes this move that is eerily similar to something we saw a few years ago.
Yeah, NASCAR said after the Hail Melon in 2022 that if they deemed that unsafe, a move done on the racetrack, they already had a rule written, if they deemed it unsafe, something similar to what happened that year, that they could penalize you. And that penalty would be tail end of your lap or a time penalty. They ended up penalizing the 20 car after seeing this. They penalized him 4 points, which put him from 18th spot, because he had just passed the 23, to 22nd, and that point difference got William Byron into the playoffs.
Ironically, it was the same corner that the rule was put in place for, so I'm sure that weighed into the decision.
That's how the final points played out for that final spot to get to the championship 4. There were other guys in a must-win situation. Let's dive in next to see how their days went.
The playoffs conclude in Phoenix, and all 4 championship contenders join us for inside takes on the title. Don't be on the outside, be on the inside. It's NASCAR Inside the Playoffs on True TV and Max.
This Sunday, 4 drivers will battle for the NASCAR Cup Series Championship at Phoenix Raceway. Join us for the Phoenix pre-race show as we talk live with the Championship 4, plus other celebrities and special guests, as we get ready to make history and crown the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series champion. Catch it all Sunday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on NASCAR's YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Well, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, they had to win to get their way into the championship 4. And we know to win on Sunday, all of that starts Saturday during practice and qualifying. And there was a big event Saturday that really set back one of those teams.
Yeah, Denny had a strong practice going. He was the top of the leaderboard, had a really good first run, and this is his second run on tires. You can see he goes down into the corner right here looking to do what he'd been doing lap after lap. Something happens, and from what we've gathered, the throttle was stuck. He didn't decel at the rate that he expected. The throttle did not come completely back when he lifted off of it, and that's just too much speed getting in the corner, causes him to get into the wall.
When you drop the gas, you're expecting, we have engine braking on our cars a lot of times, we have the brake pedal being applied, there's always an issue there. You're really slowing the car down. And if you drop gas and he just, kind of like a light switch, let off the gas pedal as fast as you can to get in the corner like he had done lap after lap, and that doesn't return all the way, he's carrying way more speed. And that probably saved him from doing more damage. We've seen stuck throttles there in the past look super violent. It was still a bad wreck, and it cost him a lot of work and damage, but that rubber getting into this mechanism that we want to talk about really hurt their day.
Yeah, so we see a lot of rubber buildup at the short tracks, particularly. You know, coming off the tires, big chunks of rubber, looks similar to what you've got here, and they'll build up in different spots of the race car. We'll see them collect around here in the splitter areas or any of the horizontal surfaces of the race car. They'll stack up and they'll rest in those locations, but occasionally when they come dislodged, they get into a tire, they get thrown in the air. You know, it's kind of anything can happen under the hood of the race car with those chunks of rubber.
What we've been told that happened to the 11 car is a piece of rubber got up into this mechanism. And what's going on with this mechanism, as Denny pushes the gas pedal, there's a cable right here, and that pulls the lever this way, towards the firewall. You have springs and other things down here that help it return once he jumps off of the gas. if a piece of rubber were to get up in this area and just hesitate it from coming all the way back, that sounds like what Denny explained happened on the radio, what the crew guys are kind of saying what happened, and what SMT showed us as well afterwards when you looked at it.
This is an example of something that could have happened. You know, if a piece of rubber were to get in there, it disrupts the operation of that linkage, and there's not a lot of force required to hold it in place, and that's all it would take to hold the throttle from retracting at the rate at which you would expect it getting into the corner.
Yeah, all of this caused major repairs overnight by the 11 team. Had to start last in a race they had to win to get in. Let's talk about their day and the other guys here. Starts in the back, making steady progress to the end of stage one. He's getting up there, not in the stage points category, but they don't care about that. They're looking to win the race. Chase Elliott has all this track position. He's running first or second pretty much the entire first stage and a half. In the middle of stage two, Chase Elliott, you see a big drop right there. That's when he's going to have to battle back and get some more track position later in the race. And that was because of a pit stop hiccup they had. And I think we have some video of that pit stop that we can show, see what actually happens on that 9 stop. Goes to the right side. Everything looks like it's going okay. The right side tires come off. Right there, the right rear tire changer. He's having an issue getting his wheel on tight. Jackman had already left the right side, so he has to come back around, jack up the car, make sure that wheel is tight. Ultimately, that leads to what you hope is an 8.5-ish range second pit stop to probably more than 20 seconds. So he loses about 10 seconds to his competitors on pit road. That was that big drop in track position you saw there. The 9 had to overcome about halfway through the race.
They're able to go into recovery mode, but unfortunately they're having to do it from a bad position compared to where they were earlier in the race. During the green flag sequence in the final stage, they take the opportunity to short pit, and that does help them, and it looks like it really puts them in a good position as the pit cycle is transpired.
Now Gustafson's thinking, I can't win the race from here, and I have to. So I have to do something different. So everybody was going to probably split that stage in about half, at least the majority of the field was. He said, I'm going to come really early when I can make it on fuel, get a tire advantage on everybody, hopefully leap them, and get a caution at the right time. I heard Chase Elliott say we had great calls on the box, and we had cautions go our way, and this was an example.
So the caution comes out around lap 390. There's about 100 laps to go. There's an opportunity to decide, do we want to come get tires? The pit cycles just happened. Some guys have a little bit fresher tires based on when they decided to pit. The 5 car decides to stay out, maintain track position. The 9 car decides to come in, get him some tires. Same thing for Ryan Blaney and the 12 group. They decide to come get tires. And really, it looks like for the 5 group, early on in the final run, it's going to work out fairly well. They've got about 100 laps to go, and they fire off under clean air and make really fast pace, are able to gap the field, get far out in front of the field. And you can see, looking at the lap time graph, we've got Chase here in dark blue and Kyle Larson in light blue, and you can tell that the pace of those two guys is super strong for the first period of this run. As they get on farther into the run, the leaders start catching lap traffic, and that's where things really change for those guys, and then the 12 car really starts to shine. It's almost like a light switch. The 12 is a far superior car from a lap time standpoint, from lap 447 on to the end of the race. And let's take a look at like what was happening right there on the racetrack at this point in time. This is just an overhead view representing the position of every car around the racetrack at that point in time. And so what we see has happened here, the 5 car has started back in here. As the run has gone on, he's driven away and he's expanded out his gap on the guys on the lead lap. The cars behind him on the lead lap are the 9, 24, 12, 2. And so all those cars are actually getting clean air themselves, and the 5's been taking advantage of that clean air, making really good lap time. But the problem is now he's hit the back of the field. Yeah,
with 50 to go, everybody's pretty much in traffic, and we're going to see which car can get through that traffic the best. And the 12 definitely, by the previous graph on lap times, we see that. The 12 car through here, he's just phenomenal. Once everybody hit lap traffic, obviously they're all hitting lap traffic in that range, and then here towards the end of the race, he's running significantly faster than the 2 guys he's racing for the win. We've seen Ryan Blaney do it before at Martinsville. He did it again on Sunday night. He gets in traffic towards the end of these races, and I I heard an interview with Walt Zarniak after the race, and he said he was intelligently aggressive, and that was a good way to put it. He used the bumper when he needed to, did nothing outrageous to wreck people or move them too hard, but he raced clean but aggressively and made his way through traffic much easier than Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson did.
Yeah, he did what he needed to do from lap 450 to the end of the race.
For the second year in a row, Ryan Blaney hits a home run at Martinsville, advances to the championship four. Let's look at how he and his competitors are setting up for Phoenix.
Hey race fans, Corey LaJoy here. Join Ryan Flores and myself for Stacking Pennies each week. I'll break down my race and explain what happened right out of my windshield.
Plus, we award the Dogs of the Week for the best pit crews and go in-depth on all the money stops, pit road mistakes, and penalties.
And we've got a ton of guests. We have SVG stopping by. We had Ricky Stenhouse after he punched Kyle Busch in the face. We've had Bubba. We've had all sorts of guys in here in the Nonsense Garage, so you do not want to miss it. Check us out on Sirius XM Channel 90, YouTube, or wherever you find your podcasts. Each and every week, Stacking Pennies. That's what's up.
I'm Ryan Flores. Join Kim Kuhn and myself each and every week right here at Around the Track. Whether you are going to the racetrack or watching from home, we get you ready for all things national and regional level.
And we'll tell you who and what to watch for each week. Plus, we get you ready for the weekend at the racetrack, and Erica will help you place your bets to win some easy money.
Be sure to check out Around the Track every Wednesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
Well, it all comes down to Phoenix, so let's look at the numbers of all of our contenders when they get to the desert. We look at last year's champ, Ryan Blaney. It's kind of surprising that he has 0 wins at Phoenix. He did win at Iowa this year, similar type racetrack to Phoenix, and he was leading at Gateway on the white flag lap when he ran out of fuel. So Ryan Blaney is definitely a guy to contend with there, but Tyler Reddick led 68, 65 laps, something in that range, tied for the most laps led at Phoenix in the spring. So even though he has 0 wins at Phoenix, he was a contender earlier this year there.
Yeah, the other thing I see that's pretty interesting about Ryan Blaney, if you look at the ratio between these two numbers, 17 starts, 8 top 5 finishes. His performance, average performance there, is also the strongest in the field of all the cars. So I think he's going to be certainly super strong, but here again, we've got the 24 car, average finish of 11.8.
Yeah, that's impressive. Guy sat on the pole there last year.
Looking at the 22 team, he has almost twice the number of starts of any of the other competitors in the Final Four. Joey's obviously a past champion, and he's shown that he can rise in these key moments, win big races when the pressure's on, and I expect that 22 team to bring a lot of heat.
3 wins, 8 top 5s. He's always been a good racetrack for Team Penske Phoenix, so this is going to be an incredible battle. I would not be surprised if these guys are running 1 through 4 for the majority of the race. Hopefully, maybe one of us will be able to break up this party of 4 contenders right here towards the front. We'll be there, and you won't want to miss it. Catch the Cup Series Championship Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern on NBC.